order just for just a second. I'm going to have Joseph Abood, who's the chair of our elections committee, chair of SPEC, come up and give a brief update in regards to the elections that concluded on Wednesday at 8 p.m. this past week. So he's going to come up and talk, and then we'll get into our guest speaker. So, Joseph, if you want to come up.
It's a few. They need to go with the those. I can't. They're having competitions. So if you gotta go take her boyfriend.
Hello, everybody. Firstly, congratulations to the candidates who won re-election. So I just want to provide you guys with a little update now that we've closed down. So the elections stopped. They were finished at 8 p.m. on Wednesday. And we were looking, I wanted to share some statistics with you. So in the year 2019, 2020, it was 22%. 22% of the students voted. In the year 2021, 23% student voted. And now, in this year, 24% of the students voted in the spring elections. So we're slowly seeing a little bit of an upward trend. We're going to try to keep encouraging that. So this year, 24% of the students voted, which is about 1,900 students. There were 3 spots where we had no candidates. Those were Mary Eniston Baldwin, the representative of the School of Business, and the representative of the School of Engineering. We do have people lined up for those. They just need to be confirmed by the next president, vice president, or actually it's vice president. Yes, they're just waiting confirmation. And then the amendment was approved by everybody. I now welcome any questions about the elections process from anybody. All right then. Thank you.
Thanks, Joseph, for the update. I think it's a telling tale to see the increase in voter turnout this year. I would really credit it to each of you and the work that you have done to represent SGA in such a positive light across campus and all of your doings, as well as through your advocacy projects. So I credit the turnout to you all and would echo Joseph by saying congratulations to all who were elected. Moving on, I would like to introduce our guest speaker for tonight, Dr. Sam Dorff, who serves as the president of the Academic Senate, is going to give us some updates about what the Senate is doing, and I welcome him to our humble abode.
This is my
Thanks, sir. I'll just take this off. This is
Oh, Kim.
So Drew and Hannah invited me to come today. Drew said to tell you what we're doing, but it's April, and I don't know about you, but I'm kind of done. Right? Yeah. So Senate has done a lot, right? And we have some more to do, but I just wanted to sort of give you an update and be here to answer questions. So the first is that this academic year we had 2 full faculty votes, meaning that all tenured and tenure line faculty members were asked to vote on 2 really important issues. One was a constitutional amendment to the Constitution of the Academic Senate to change the composition to add 2 full-time non-tenure track faculty members to the Senate, and that has passed. So you can applaud for that. You don't have to. I had a lot of info sessions. People came. The other thing, actually, no one came to those. The other big thing that we passed was a revision to the university's tenure and promotion policy. So the last time this was revised was 2010. Many of you were 10 or even younger. So I wasn't even working here. So it's been a really long time since we've had an opportunity to update the policy, and the updates are really significant in that they require faculty to document their contributions to inclusive excellence. There are now more pathways to promotion and tenure at the institution, and it really sort of brings greater equity to the whole process. I'd say that academic senators, student senators were really helpful in crafting this policy and helping develop it at the Senate level, and it was pretty great that we got a huge faculty turnout to vote for that. The other things that we passed this year relate to like academic senate governance, which is kind of boring, but because you're student senators, maybe you find it kind of interesting. But just like updating our policies and procedures, crossing T's, dotting I's, recognizing that when we have vacancies, we sort of have, in the past, we've had conflicting policies on what to do. It's like, oh, we'll just have a dean appoint them. Oh, we'll just have like someone else appoint them. So just trying to clarify that and make it clear, and most importantly, transparent for everybody. Another thing that we passed this year was revisions to the honor code. Those revisions are generally pretty minor, but it kind of updates things for the 21st century. So in the original honor code, it says that if faculty member says that you have broken the honor code, you have to meet them in person, but we just got out of a global pandemic and now everyone knows how to use Zoom, and guess what? We don't need to do that anymore. So really just trying to update the policy for the 21st century, making sure that things are transparent in there as well. The one thing that we spent a lot of time talking about was midterm grading. So in August of 2021, one of the associate provosts came to the Academic Senate's executive committee and said, hey, we have a whole bunch of students that don't know how to college because they had a really messed up senior year of high school and they don't know what to do. They're really struggling. And we think it would be really, really helpful if we extend a policy that says that all first-year students need to have midterm grades. Let's extend that to second-year students as well. And we said, yeah, no brainer, that makes sense. We had a Senate meeting in November where we got some really, really good data about how having these midterm grades allows the academic, the LTC, and a bunch of other places on campus to bring the services needed, right, to students that are struggling, right? Students that are getting D's and F's, multiple D's and F's, who are first year or second year students. We get to have that data. We're able to follow up on it. Faculty aren't doing that. We're able to follow up with them. We're able to help those students in return have better retention rate for our students, have better success rate overall. So that's really good. So we were very pleased that this passed because, don't tell the other faculty I said this, but asking faculty to do more work is sometimes hard, right? So a lot of faculty complain that, whoa, first year students have to give them midterm grades too. And take a guess, who teaches the majority of first year classes? Do you think, the faculty that have been here a million years have to teach first year classes? No. Who do you think teaches first year classes? Grad students. Not many. Actually, that's a cool thing about UD. We don't have that many grad students teaching the classes, but it's mostly lecturers who are teaching 4 classes a semester versus tenure-line faculty like me who are teaching, usually about 3. So the bulk of the work of midterm grading generally has been falling to the faculty that are getting paid the least, right? So this is another equity issue that we were hoping to try and fix by increasing the number of people that are getting midterm grades. So we were able to pass that on an emergency basis in August, and we've extended that policy to next year as well. So all first and second year students will get midterm grades in the 2022-2023 academic year. Other things that we've been working on that I would love to say would be voted on this month, but I'm not that hopeful, are changes to the SET. So we've done a lot of really great work. We had a task force that's made up of students and faculty and administrators. Jada was on it, Drew was on it, me and a couple other faculty were on it. Really trying to figure out ways to make SET better. Not really changing the questions, because I think the questions are fine. But a lot of students don't really know what SET does and who reads SET, right? Who reads SET when you fill out your SETs? Does anyone know? Yeah, the professors do. Drew, you know, because you were on the task force. So yeah, faculty read them, but not all faculty. There's no rule that says I have to read my sets, right? Does anybody know who else reads them? Oh my God, can you imagine? Imagine if the dean had to read all of them. No. No, the department chair reads them, right? But think about many of your departments. Anybody an English major? Bio, math? Okay, yeah. So there's a lot of people in those departments. Can you imagine having to read all of them, right? Sections with like hundreds of students? It just doesn't happen. And so if you have a problem in a class, the set is not the place to communicate if there's like a real problem in the class, right? If there's a faculty member that is behaving in a way that is unacceptable, right? You don't wait until the end of the semester to put it in the set, right? So these are some of the things that we've been working on. Find better ways to communicate the right person to go to. So, quick question. I know it's a Sunday and you're not in class, but you can take the teacher out of the classroom, but you can't take the classroom out of the teacher. If there's a problem in a class, like a faculty member uses a racial slur, God forbid, in a classroom, what do? Do you wait until the end of the semester to put it in the set? What are some of the things you can do? You can go to the dean, that's a great place to go. You can go to the department chair, right? You can go to the professor themselves. Generally, we're cool to talk to, right? Sometimes we're not, right? If you have a real problem, you might not want to talk to the faculty member because of some power imbalances, right? Maybe grab a friend, go to the department chair, go to the dean. We also have the Equity Compliance Office. Does anybody know what they do? They're generally the office that mostly manages our Title IX cases, so sexual-based discrimination, sex and gender-based discrimination on campus. But they'll deal with all types of discrimination, all equity issues, if it has to do with veteran status, age, ethnicity, country of origin, race, sex, sexual orientation, gender, all of those issues can be taken to the Equity Compliance Office and they can help you there too. So one of the things we've been working on is trying to find ways that we can give this information at the beginning of the semester in the syllabi and stuff like that. There's some other things that we'd like to change with SET, like this is all good for students, but faculty don't really want student evaluations, or how about this? We don't want all student evaluations to impact our merit or our tenure, right? I think I've mentioned last time I was here that I've never had a semester where someone hasn't made a really creepy, inappropriate comment in my sets, either about my religion, which is weird because I'm Jewish, or my socks, which are generally cool. I can't see them today, but they're like Leonardo da Vinci socks. But like, it's just weird. It's not appropriate for like how well I teach a class for you to say like, oh, Dr. Dorff has got great socks. Not helpful, right? So like, doesn't say much about music history. So these kinds of things are things that faculty are really concerned about, right? And I'm a white guy, so the things that are generally said to me aren't that bad. But there's a lot of things, especially faculty of color, female faculty, international faculty that might speak with an accent. These are some real issues that they get in their student evaluations of teaching. And I want to circle back to one last thing that I think is important. So in our conversations about midterm grading, the big issue that student senators raised was, well, this sounds great, first and second year students. It would be awesome if I, as a senior or junior student, also got a midterm grade, right? Yeah. So the Senate students are pretty much, they were like fully behind this, and they pushed really, really hard for us to make this change, that all students would get a midterm grade. Now, I told you earlier, faculty don't like to do that, right? And also, there's another issue with that, and I think part of it is that a midterm grade doesn't really tell you what your final grade is going to be. In a lot of classes, it might not tell you anything, right? Let's say, especially in upper level courses where maybe you have to do like 4 out of the 7 assignments, right? Like if you don't do anything, you know, if you turn in one thing, it's not going to tell you what your grade is, right? What you as students deserve and what you absolutely need is you need to know by midterm in the class if you're doing well or not, right? You don't need to know if you're getting an A- or a B+, right? Because that's going to change, right? And I think it's asking a lot for faculty to do that, to be honest. For every single student to sort of calculate midterm grades and then final grades. So we can do a couple of things. One is we can let faculty know that on Isidore, they should use it, number 1. Number 2, they should input their grades in it, right? And 3, that there's this magic little button, which I honestly, and I was telling my class the other day, I literally had no idea that my students couldn't see their grades at all times throughout the semester, but I could. Like I had no idea that there was like a little button I had to click so that you can see it, and I feel like an idiot, because for years I've been telling my students, like, well, if you don't know what your grade is, go check on Isidore, because it's always up to date. Well, I was an idiot. So, clearly faculty need to learn that you have to click a stupid little button for people to see it. So one idea is to talk about like maybe we can set the default to like always show it, and then students can be like, hey, Dr. Dorff, it says I'm getting a 0, but I've turned in all this work. Oops, I forgot to enter in Isidore. Yeah, that's right, turn it in, right? So like we can have students empower faculty and like essentially get faculty to turn it in. So I'm meeting with some people in the LTC tomorrow to talk about that. So we can get people to use Isidore. And the other tool we have is the Student Success Network. Does anyone use the Student Success Network? Sometimes. In some units of the institution, the Student Success Network is like the go-to. Any engineers here? Okay, yes, in engineering, many people use it to schedule meetings with advisors, but it's a really helpful tool for faculty and lots of different offices across campus to communicate about students' well-being and students' needs, right? So one idea is that if we can get everybody to do the Student Success Network and tell students, hey, you're doing a great job, or guess what? You haven't turned in any assignments this semester, or like you haven't shown up at all, right? And so that's a little bit more helpful information if we're trying to help students succeed, right? Knowing that a student's getting an F, well, there's a lot of reasons why that student might be getting an F. But if they're just not doing well, maybe they're getting a C, but like they're just not showing up. That's something we can flag. And then if we have enough flags, that can trigger the dean's office coming in, lots of different help for students. So we're really hoping to be able to push that out and roll that out next year if possible. And yeah, I guess that's a lot. But the Senate's been up, academic Senate's been up to stuff, but just wanted to see if you guys have any questions or concerns. I'll still be on Senate next year. I don't know if I'll be president. We have our election April 29th. So I can help you now, if I can.
Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll say that one of the other great things is Drew and Hannah and I have been meeting regularly. Jade and I have been meeting regularly. The Academic Senate is an academic Senate. It's not a faculty Senate. So like I really do represent you all too, right? And when I have to go to those meetings with the president and with the provost, I don't just speak for the faculty. I mainly speak for the faculty, but I'm really thinking about the students as well, right? Like your constituents. Yeah, so.
That kind of already answers part of my question, or at least why I'm asking this. So like a lot of what you passed and the work still to come is centered on student feedback, especially. But what are some areas that you're looking for more student feedback going into next year? And is there any way that we here in SGA can help get more feedback?
Yeah, so great questions. So I think if any changes to SET require even more student feedback than we've already had, right? So that is going to come forward probably next year, right? So the preliminary work, the sort of drafting of policy is happening now, will probably happen over the summer as well, but it won't be ready to be shared with folks until the fall, okay? So that's one thing. And then in terms of the midterm grading and midterm assessment, so Currently, we have a policy in the faculty handbook called midterm progress reports. So it's not called midterm grading, it's called midterm progress report. And so really thinking about what kind of feedback do you really need, right? So we've heard students say, like, I really do want to know if I'm getting an A or an A minus at midterm, because I want to make sure I get an A. But I think for many students, right, like that's an unrealistic expectation from a faculty member to give. So really thinking about what kind of feedback you need, right, at midterm for success, right? Who needs to know it, and how do you want to be contacted about it? That would be really helpful to know, right, as we start thinking about these issues next year.
And Ben, I can jump in here just for a second. I think in terms of student feedback, a big thank you to Dr. Dorff. I think we've seen an unprecedented amount of engagement from faculty to our undergraduate students, specifically the academic senator students who I think this year have been really outspoken. We have some really good academic reps this year who do serve on the Senate, who give feedback. But I think some unique things in terms of student feedback for this year was the task force that Dr. Dorff put together. Like I said, he meets regularly with Hannah and I, which I don't know in terms of feedback, if that has been done in the past. I know something unique again to this year because of the kind of interaction that students have had with midterm grading. I know a number of student senators and from the Academic Senate have met with the LTC, or the Learning Teaching Center, regarding some different things. I think they've met a couple different times, but I think starting next year, all the academic student senators will meet with the LTC on a monthly basis just to touch base. What can they be doing? What can students be doing? But I think this year we've seen a really high amount of engagement from students on the Academic Senate in terms of giving feedback and continuing to look for ways that the student voice can continue to be heard.
Yeah, that reminds me of two other things. So, as I said, that Hannah and Drew and I, we meet about monthly for coffee in my office. It's always nice. Sometimes snacks. And we talk about, like, well, what are your priorities? What are student priorities? What are SGA priorities? What are my priorities? How can we work together? So one thing that we're working on, nothing to share yet, but we've actually made some real good progress. So I know there might be a student or two here that might have some frustrations, maybe a couple with like the Path Aviate program, maybe a frustration or two, right? There are some faculty and administrators that also might have a frustration or two, or ideas, right? And so it's all well and good if we talk to each other, but we started the process of having a group of faculty talking with folks in housing and residence life about ways in which we could work and collaborate together on thinking through some of the challenges in the Path Aviate program. And I'll say that these are inspired by the feedback and comments I got from Drew and Hannah in our meetings. And this was a priority for students. It's been a priority for student senators. It was a priority for me in the 3 previous years I served on the Academic Senate. I always bring it up. I was like, can we start talking about this? I've always been told no. But now that I'm president, I guess I can talk about it. So having some really early, preliminary, incredibly productive conversations about issues of equity and issues of overload for students, right? And sort of the limits of the capacity of the kinds of programming we offer, not just in terms of Path Aviate, but also in terms of CAP, right? So thinking about these things kind of together has been really helpful, and so I'm hopeful for next year. We'll see.
So I had a question going on with grading on Isidore. Recently I've noticed some of my teachers using a feature that shows a bar graph on like assignments. It'll say like a bracket 90 to 100, 80 to 90, like what you got on an assignment relative to everyone else in the class. Is that something you'd see as being beneficial to be another default, just like trying to get the default grade to show up? Because I found that to be super helpful with, especially in engineering, If, some grades aren't always going to be the best, but if I can see, everyone else got this, I don't really need to be focusing as much on that.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great. Totally. Again, it's a feature I didn't even know existed, right? I don't know. But, I think this is also the issue is that, right, in the past couple of years, I think when I came here, I said, it's been tough. Like most of you, it's been tough to be students during a global pandemic, right? It's tough to be faculty members. Faculty members are stretched thin, really thin, because we love UD, and so we do all the things. Like we're here on a Sunday night, we're advising, we're doing all these things, and all these pressures are being put on faculty, and we just are trying our darndest to catch up, right? So I had no idea. I've never had a session where hey, this is how Isidore works. It just doesn't happen. We don't have the time, right? It's I remember literally my first day on campus in 2011, and a lot this is the system you use. Great, I guess I'll figure out how to use it over the next 10 years. Still learning new things every day, right? So we just don't have the time to have that meaningful professional development where we can do this work. Now, this was an idea that a couple of us on Senate had. We've had at times, right, where we have Standard Day, which is a day of alternative learning, right? Might not be a crazy idea to do something early in the fall semester of just professional development for faculty. A day off for students where you can do, Housing and Restless Life will probably kill us for doing something like that. Because they don't like giving you guys days off. But maybe even an afternoon off or something like that for just professional development that could be really impactful, right? Yeah, that's a great idea.
I'm a junior, so the midterm grades don't apply to me. But I do have one professor this semester who's, I think, direct superior made him submit midterm grades, and he came into class one day and told us, yeah, I put in random grades if it says you have an F. It's just because I had to put a place filler in. So is there a system in check to make sure that for the midterm grades they're not just putting in random letters?
I am sure that whoever did that, if they gave you really random grades, their department chair would yell at them. But if they haven't, you're always welcome to come to me and tell me, people I can talk to, right? So I'm always here. My office is a safe space, so you can tell me what you want to tell me, and I can try and complain to the people that I need to complain to. But yeah, no, that's egregious and totally unacceptable.
I think I have some plans.
Oh. But this is the thing, right? So you understand where the faculty member is coming from. The faculty member might be teaching 4 classes and totally overwhelmed, right? It doesn't have the ability to calculate all those grades. But the real issue is, so that's an issue of just giving people false grades. That's just wrong, right? But the other issue is faculty members that literally do not assign any work in the first half of the class. That's also unacceptable. That's bad pedagogy. It's bad teaching. And so we need to help faculty learn that that's not acceptable. You need to give feedback throughout the semester. And you actually have to turn it back too, right? So yes, maybe you had an assignment at the beginning of the semester and then something at midterm, but maybe you've not gotten anything back. And I understand falling behind in grading. I've been there, right? Especially when I've had to teach a whole lot of classes. But waiting until the very last day to turn in work that was submitted at midterm is unacceptable, right? These are things that we need to be better about as faculty members, and I think as part of the, I think, these have to do with merit too, right? If faculty want merit increases, they have to be able to demonstrate that they're doing this kind of stuff. So those are the kinds of things. So thinking about sets, So let's say, you say, this is bad, right? So you write something bad in the set about it, you mention something to the chair. That chair is gonna look back through past sets and be like, okay, is this just a this semester thing, or has Dr. Dorff been like doing bad things all semester? Because I've been really busy focusing on the folks that are going out for tenure. Dr. Dorff is already tenured, so we haven't been looking at this stuff very carefully. So, this is why it's really important to talk to chairs and talk to people if problems do arise.
I wanted to thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate the feedback. One thing that I know me and some of my peers have struggled with, at least in the past semester, with a few specific classes, that there'll be like third-party websites where we go and like do assignments, which won't translate into Isidore. Like for me, they didn't come back with my midterm grades. And there's a rumor that they're supposed to just translate directly over into Isidore, but they don't. And so I'm just wondering how that's supposed to go and how that will work.
Yeah, so that's a great question. That's something we also talked about in our last Senate meeting. We had folks from the bookstore come, right? And I was like, the bookstore, where are every people from the bookstore come? But guess what? That's a bookstore issue, right? So one of the issues that we've been dealing with is the fact that students want to buy their books. They want them to arrive on the first day of class, right? And they want these books and this course material to seamlessly integrate with Isidore. And that can't always happen, right? And so one of the things that was really helpful is the bookstore was telling us hey, guess what? We'll tell you if this isn't if you want something to seamlessly work with Isidore, we will let you know if that's possible with this textbook or not, right? And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't, right? Depending on the textbook, right? So yeah, that's a fix that they're trying to work on with some types of texts and some providers, but they can't do it for everything. But the UDIT is definitely thinking about this and trying to make it more seamless. Another thing that they're trying to do for faculty to make midterm grading easier is for faculty to opt to just hit a button, and then your Isidore grade book will just go immediately into and submitted for midterm grades. That would make my life easier. But that means you can't do it for everybody because there's a lot of faculty that don't use gradebook, right? I guess 80% of faculty use Isidore. But that's 20% of classes do not have an Isidore site at all. It seems crazy to me because even for the most basic classes, even if I'm doing an independent study, we have an Isidore site. So, but I don't know.
Thank you.
Sure. I have office hours too, if you want. So I sit every Monday in the Met Lounge at Alumni Hall from 2 to 3 o'clock. So you can come and chat me up and complain, or just talk. I love complaining. It's one of my favorite things to do. So please, by all means, come and complain with me. And I also have office hours in my office at Fitz Hall on Thursdays from 11 to 12. But yeah, totally available. If you just want to meet, happy to meet. My office in Alumni Hall has a coffee maker.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dorff, for coming and spending some of your Sunday evening and afternoon with us. Thank you again for continuing to champion the students that come to you with concerns. Thanks for coming and engaging with us, and thank you for the continued support that you have for us. We're going to go ahead and move on to special requests. So James, do we have any special requests this evening?
Yes, so we have one new organization grant request tonight, and that's from Sprouts. I'd like to thank those representatives for coming tonight. You guys will have 10 minutes to present, and that'll be followed by any questions from the Senate. I'd like to welcome you guys to the podium.
It's so late in the year for a special request. I feel like it's so late in the year for a special request. They're funny. Like IMAX.
We're having some surround sound
This is literally IMAX theater right here.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having us. My name is Anya Radashka and I'm one of the co-presidents of Sprouts.
My name is Abby Ruzovich and I am the treasurer.
And I'm Jonah Farrar and I'm the men's mental health chair.
Our other co-president, Michaela Carrier, sadly couldn't be here with us, and our secretary, Payne Allen, as well. Our mission for Sprouts is to bring together a group of like-minded individuals who strive to prioritize mental health and build healthy habits of self-care. Our goals for Sprouts are to start a conversation on campus around mental health and about addressing stigmas around self-care and taking breaks. We want to give students an outlet for taking care of themselves and providing tools that can benefit their mental health. We'll do this by going beyond the self-soothing techniques and talking about long-term benefits of the organization and exercise on mental health. We would love to expand our organization into the campus community.
So with us being a new organization, we really were wanting to focus on the benefits for all of the UD community. So a list here of what we are looking to do is to facilitate the necessary conversation in an accessible and comfortable manner, because we know that mental health is getting a lot bigger now and more people are comfortable with it, but it still can be a little challenging to talk about it, especially as college students, because we feel it a lot, but it's hard to talk about. We want to provide activities and events that benefit the well-being of our participants. We want to foster a sense of community and bonding around these conversations and acknowledge the importance of breaks and self-care, because as a college student, you want to get good grades, you want to join a bunch of different organizations, but taking care of yourself is necessary to be able to do those things. We want to give students the opportunity to feel productive while taking necessary breaks during the busy school year, because I know even myself, I'll be like, okay, I need to take 10 minutes to myself, but then I'll be thinking about what I could be doing instead. Oh, I can work on my next project, I can get ahead of my homework. So we really want to make it comfortable to take those breaks. We want people to make friends. This would be a great resume builder for people too, especially first coming out of Dayton, not having something. They could definitely add this. Educational content, and then it's a small time commitment, but for really big benefits that for our members.
Okay, so our plans, we have our introductory meeting actually tomorrow over on Stewart Hill. Everybody here is welcome, of course, but it's gonna be, we're gonna just be watching the sunset and potentially have ice cream sundaes or donuts. We haven't decided yet. Just have some supplementary activities just kind of gonna decompress it to start the week. And so we also already have plans with co-pilots, just collaborations in place. But we also have next year and beyond, of course. So we're going to try and have bi-weekly meetings for members, along with collaborations with even more organizations. We've already had members and non-executive members of Phi Kappa Psi reach out to do philanthropy events, as well as Alpha Kappa Psi, the business fraternity, reaching out to do some events with us as well. We want to aim for like 2 to 3 bigger events a year, and then as well as just activities along with the meetings that we have, just so we're not just all sitting there looking at each other. We got things going on, even without meetings, just that we can provide members to do to decompress. And then potentially just maybe even get into the aviate side of things and have some path eligible events for people.
Our big event for the rest of the year is the Co-Pilots Collaboration. We funded this with a mini mental health grant from the Brooks Center, and we're offering a free yoga class that gives students an outlet to exercise. And yoga is also a form of meditation, and both these forms of self-care have long-term benefits. The first 20 students to arrive will receive a free Lululemon yoga mat, and participation in the event will enter students in a raffle, and there's raffle baskets filled with free Lululemon outfits, as well as other self-care themed items. In the event, handouts about healthy habits from Atomic Habits by James Clear will provide an educational component to the activity.
So some of the benefits of potentially funding our group would be, we want to be able to fund activities that expose students to healthy forms of relaxation and self-care, because sometimes it is hard going to Target, getting some face masks for yourself. So if you guys are able to fund us, we can get those different types of activities so students don't have to go out and search on their own because they might not want to take the time to do that.
Along with that, just like I said earlier, it'll give us more opportunities to do things like we are doing with co-pilots upcoming here. Like I said, with AK size, as long as 5 sides, being able to reach out there with other groups on campus and not only benefit people part of our community, but part of their community, and just be able to have a bigger, broader outreach to really impact more people, especially with their mental health. And then just to allow us to fund events completely with accessibility to more, to spread our mission more on campus. Because we would not want to have to charge like the students. We don't want to have dues for our organization because we don't want to have to charge people to take part of their and take care of their mental health because we don't. That's just not what our goal is as an organization. So we're open to questions from anybody.
It is good seeing familiar faces back here. I know them. Good people, great people. You should really just mention like your position, Jonah, because based off like the conversation I've had, if you would want to talk about it, because I think it's beneficial that we all hear.
Yeah, of course. So I'm the men's mental health chair, like I said earlier. Just from speaking with people and trying to spread the word, I've heard just from a lot of men in general that they not only don't feel as comfortable and kind of feel stigmatized speaking up about their mental health, but not only that, when I was trying to share the idea of our organization to them, doing face masks and yoga didn't necessarily appeal to a lot of men when I was speaking with them. So my goal really as my chair is to be able to be like an outlet for people, for the men of our organization as well as on campus, to be there and support them, but not only that, but to get them more involved in doing things that are good for their mental health and breaking down that stigma that, you know, it's not, they should speak up about it or it shouldn't be okay doing yoga or face masks and even anything, just having ice cream and making friends on Stewart Hill, like just to make them feel more willing and acceptable and doing things like that and okay with doing that. So that's why we kind of, as an organization, decided it'd be good to have specifically a men's mental health chair just to fight that stigma in an organization.
If you don't mind, I'd like to add something. So we have not had our first meeting yet, it is tomorrow, but with our social media presence, we have an Instagram and we already have over 250 followers as well as 75 to around 80 members already in 1850. So without even having a meeting, we know that this is something that the university community wants and they want to participate in.
I just want to thank you guys for coming out today. I'm on the mental health committee in student government, and I just want to let you know that you can always collaborate with us. We're always open to new ideas and like joining in on projects and stuff. So just keep that.
Thank you. That would be amazing. Yes.
When is the yoga thing?
He tried to get his match.
April 21st.
He want his
on a
match.
Thursday.
I'm showing up 3 hours early. He's getting his
At
match.
5 o'clock.
See, I'm about to get it.
It's in a dub. That's a Thursday.
I know, I can't even go.
At 5 o'clock.
Okay, so y'all too.
Yeah, so I have
See, I
another
won.
question.
Oh.
So your request is for $750, and I know you guys mentioned like you're gonna be having some raffles and some handouts. Do you think that'll be like the majority of the expenses for like the $750 you're requesting?
We're hoping to add a fundraising share as part of our exec to hopefully have fundraising events. But as of right now, that's the amount we think would be, for starting, we think that's a pretty good amount to go for.
And on top of that, the raffles, like we said, we got a grant already to fund the yoga event and the raffles, as well as we're working with an employee at Lululemon to get employee discounts to lower the prices and everything already. So we have a grant covering all that already, so the 750 isn't for the yoga event.
It would pretty much be for our next semester, just to start off with doing those bi-weekly meetings, having some granola bars there, some juices, and the different activities that we would begin next semester.
Okay, thank you.
So I just wanted to reiterate again what Bailey said. If you partner with the mental health committee, they actually have a budget already, so they could probably pay for some of the larger events, and you could just skirt around having to fund the larger things.
That would be very
That's what the idea of it.
Popsicle, 3 popsicles. Mental health committee, we're gonna do a table, however they have popsicles.
Any more questions? Well, thank you so much.
I was like, we don't know yet. How did you know? They don't know. They're waiting until the weather gets warm, so probably like middle April. We're trying to get wristbands to the hand out. Like, so it's
No, you're fine.
we don't know yet.
Thanks to you three for coming in and continuing to champion for university. It's a word I'm using.
I'd wear it.
And for continuing to support the mental health needs of students across campus. It's definitely something very important, and thank you, all three of you, for leading additional efforts there, and for Ben Thomas's fun words, as always, as we get to hear from him when we have speakers. So you all are welcome to stay, as we'll be talking about this on the Senate floor shortly in voting, or you're welcome to go and James can reach out and let you know the Senate's decision. So I invite you to do either of those that work for you all. So I believe we do not have any more special requests. James is not in the seat, so I'm going to go with it. And see if we have any public announcements.
I have an announcement, but I need to talk about first, so I'll interrupt whatever I have.
Wonderful. Public announcements from Isla.
I wanted to let everyone know that me and Anna are organizing a MAC SGA Town Hall, which we're really, really excited about. It's 2 weeks from tomorrow. Adele Center, 7 to 9, McGill Family Room. It's gonna be super great. There's gonna be pizza, and you are all invited. I'll send out a group me with that information, but it's gonna be really good. Try to like open the door, start the conversation. I think the term town hall is maybe not the best word, just because usually senators at our town halls, what we're doing is we're explaining problems and why we can't do anything about them for the most part. Or like explaining what we have done, but in this conversation we need to be more conscious of what we can do and ways we can grow. Anyway, so anyone that's interested in that, I'll send out a group me. You guys can like the message or whatever. We'll figure that out. But just wanted to let everyone know.
It's just for SGA.
Yeah.
Yes, that it's just SGA and MEC. By the way, it's not like I wouldn't say it's like public. I don't know. More details to come.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say thank you to both Isla and Anna for their leadership and continuing to try to build bridges between us and underrepresented students, so specifically MEC. So thank you to the both of you for the work. Isla, if you can email Lily a short description of what the event is, I'll have her put it in our weekly email, and then I'll have Lily create an event and make it on the SGA GCal and send it out so we can track participation from SGA members who are going, and also just put that on the calendar so they're aware. So thanks again to the both of you for that, as well as I encourage each and every one of you to go to the event. As you know, our job is to represent all students on campus, and I think it's really important for us to continue to hear the viewpoints that we might not hear from our friends or individuals that we're talking to on a daily basis. So as you continue to learn what advocacy is, I encourage you really to come to this event that both Anna and I have put on to hear different viewpoints and continue to broaden your horizons as you're the leader. So. Any other public announcements?
Sorry. Hi everybody. So as you all may know, Sexual Assault Awareness Month is this week. Month. Yeah, that makes sense. But this is pretty timely. Our project for the bars being trained, Tim's is going to be trained April 20th. I think like 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. So just wanted to share we have a date set. We're still trying to get the other bars on board. Unfortunately, it's been more difficult than imagined. But yeah, Tim's will be trained this month officially, so just wanted to shout that out. Thank you.
It's huge. Thank you to Sophia, to Ellie, to the Campus Safety Committee and others who have been working diligently to expand that to Brown Street bars. Thanks for working with the YWCA and others on that. So, any other public announcements? Will somebody hand Chris a microphone, please?
All right.
right, so I am very excited to share that we are going to be getting a full-time coordinator of student leadership programs. And half of that person's job is working with the student senate, working with finances, really a lot of the things that Meg was doing as our graduate assistant. Some of the benefits are this is a 12-month person, so they'll be here year-round, able to help with officer transitions and planning over the summer. They will have a master's degree already, so they've got more of that training available. If you all have any friends that have master's degrees and might want to work with us, feel free to share the job posting on UD's website. I have asked Sophia to serve on the search committee with us to review the candidates, see how they would fit and work with the student government, what they're passionate about. So we're very excited about that and hope that we will have someone in place June 1st.
Wonderful news. Wonderful news. Any other public announcements? Anyways. Are there any public comments or concerns? Hearing none, we'll go into reports. Does anybody are there any reports?
I have a budget report. The most recent update is that there's been $30,000 spent from the spring funding, and that's out of the $80,000 we awarded, and in the budget there's $49,000 for that. And then for the special request and new organization funding, there's been about like $4,000 spent this semester, and out of the $10,000 or about $10,500 that we awarded this semester for that.
Thank you, James. Are there any other reports? All right, I will go ahead and go into my report then. So first and foremost, I want to say congratulations to all those who were elected. Our elections for the spring have concluded, so thank you to all those who stepped up and wanted to run and take this leadership position. There are quite a few individuals in this room, so just wanted to say congratulations to all of you. As Joseph said earlier, we saw 24% of the student body come out and vote, which is a really great number. I'm really excited for that and continue to hope for increased student engagement with student government. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was our strategic plan. So I am happy to announce that the planning for this has concluded. So thank you to all of those individuals who, again, stepped up and wanted to take a leadership role and serve on the planning committee for this. I'm just going to go through this really briefly, but I will have Lily send this out to all of you on her email either tomorrow or Tuesday, and really want all of you to take a look at this before Senate next week, as we are planning to present this on Senate floor and to pass this, building it into kind of the identity of who the Student Government Association is. So we added an additional core value. Equity and inclusion is an additional core value that SGA did not originally have. We went through, there's kind of an overview, a purpose of the plan, an overview of the plan, who served on the working group. We went through, I'll just go ahead and highlight some overviews. So we identified 3 different areas or goals that we wanted to achieve or change from this working group. So our first goal was the organizational climate. Kind of go into that. There's some explanation. There are some action items that the working group has suggested, as well as how we can measure how that goal is being met. Our second goal was organizational accessibility. So again, there are what we recommended in terms of an action plan, what we can do to measure that goal as the organization continues to grow and move forward. And our final goal, member development. again, an action plan and some measures there. So, be on the lookout for the strategic plan in your email inbox. Please make sure, again, you read it in depth. I would really ask, again, and emphasize reading this in depth. It's important for each of you to really understand what went on in the working group, and it's important for each of you to understand the importance of each of the goals that the working group has identified. This is not something that I can do, this is not something Hannah can do, not something Sophia, not something Isla, Molly, whoever individually. This is something that we as an organization have to do together. It's not one person's job, it's many persons, us together. So please make sure you read this in depth and understand the goals that we've highlighted, some of the action plan bullet points there, as well as the measures taken. And then there's just kind of a wrap up there for recommendations for implementation and the logo at the end. So just wanted to highlight all of that for you all. Again, be on the lookout for that in your email. Please make sure you read it, as we will be going over that a week from today. Does anybody have any questions specifically on the strategic plan? Chris?
Make sure I send you the updated one before you send it out.
Okay, I will make sure. This is just what was in the drive. Frank?
Why are there vegetables?
Why are there vegetables? So